So I have a question, and I'll give you my side of things in just a moment, but I want to ask you guys first. Do you think that a partnership between Netflix and the UFC could redefine how we, as the public, view combat sports reality television? Why or why not? Throw your point of view down in the comments. And of course, I'm very interested in what you have to say, but let me give you my take. Over the years, The Ultimate Fighter has become a launching pad for many UFC stars over time. It encapsulates the raw and unfiltered essence of what it takes to become a mixed martial arts fighter. But as the landscape of television and sports has evolved, so too did the Ultimate Fighter need to evolve, but they didn't. They didn't adapt. They've used every trick in the book to revive the show, from using it to create title fights, using previous and current UFC stars, and they even brought in the biggest name in the game, Conor McGregor. And that hasn't really panned out. Most people would say, just kill it. But the one thing that you can say about Dana White is he's not a quitter. Dude is very loyal to his ideas. Anybody know anything about Power Slap? So here's the big idea. The TKO Group is the holding company for the WWE and the UFC, and they recently struck a 10-year, $5 billion deal with Netflix to stream WWE's Monday Night Raw. And the deal will be worth $500 million annually. So with that foothold with Netflix on the WWE side, it would be easy to negotiate a lucrative deal on the UFC side of the house to revive The Ultimate Fighter as UFC's IP. That's the idea. So let's go further into it. Let's talk about Netflix's stellar track record with reality TV. So Netflix as a platform has revolutionized the way that we consume entertainment. I don't think that can be argued. And one of the niches it has a sneaky presence in is creating hit reality series. Think of The Circle, Physical 100, hell, the Great British Bake Off. Netflix knows how to produce, market, and cultivate reality television and make us very interested in things that we wouldn't have ordinarily been interested in. Add in, they have an unparalleled global reach with their platform, and a partnership with Netflix feels like a no-brainer. This would represent a new chapter for The Ultimate Fighter, promising to reinvigorate the series with fresh narratives, a broader accessibility, and an enhanced viewer perspective. So we wouldn't see the same types of cuts, the same way that it's presented to us from the way the UFC does it. The Netflix infusion of ideas would give us a different perspective on what we think that we know, and we will be able to see things from a different viewpoint. At Bedtime MMA said it perfectly when he called it a Trojan horse of a reality show. It looped people into the stories and interactions between the fighters, and unlike other reality shows, we actually would see them fight at the end of it. That's genius. So now let's talk about the partnership benefits. With Netflix, there's a variety of benefits because of the reach that it has, how many partners that they've worked with, and this would only benefit The Ultimate Fighter going forward. And the UFC, if they chose to use this IP and maybe even use other IPs in concert with Netflix. One of them is viewer engagement through fighter stories. So Netflix, obviously, as we stated before, they have a great affinity for storytelling, which UFC has a great affinity for that as well. But this would help them dive deeper into the fighters' backgrounds, making viewers more invested in their journeys and bringing it out to a broader audience. Which brings me to the next point, brand recognition and validity. Netflix's brand could lend additional credibility to the UFC into The Ultimate Fighter as a show, and it would increase the audience by using Netflix's global reach, which is great for a global sport. I mentioned before about the enhanced viewer experience, and this comes from seeing it through the Netflix creativity or their eyes, their ability to tell these stories from a different level or a different perspective would only enhance what the UFC has already done with The Ultimate Fighter. So more heads, more creativity in the production room will only help. Which brings me to another point: accessibility and inclusivity. Netflix is highly inclusive of a variety of different cultures and backgrounds, and they're very accessible with the reach that they have being a global reach, which we mentioned before. This is only going to enhance the audience of The Ultimate Fighter and include or aggregate more audiences that haven't been involved in The Ultimate Fighter viewing experience previously. Metrics and social media buzz, that goes without saying. When it comes to the social media buzz with Netflix behind it, that's going to increase the already social media centric machine that is behind the UFC. Add in Netflix, and that's only going to make it explode more. And of course, using Netflix's metrics and their ability to target different audiences based on viewership is also going to enhance the experience and the return that the UFC gets on the show itself. Now, I can't talk about all the good things without leaving out the bad. And there are some challenges and considerations. One of those, and I think is a major one, is the brand alignment risk. And that is the potential risk of brand alignment when it comes to Netflix being their own entity and the UFC being their own entity. That's always going to cause conflict. And the next, and probably the bigger hurdle even after that, is what's ESPN's part in this conversation? The Ultimate Fighter is currently aired on ESPN as part of the agreement that they've had. But I believe that the ESPN, they do have current shows, current IP for ESPN that is on Netflix right now. And I think that a partnership with them is possible, but it would have to be something that's worked out between the powers that be. And the last one, and this is a very important one as well, is creative control. I mentioned before about how Netflix can help in the production room, but the UFC has to be open to that. And I believe that they would be, considering the return on it. So, in conclusion, in my opinion, it's really a no-brainer. They've already opened the door when it comes to working with Netflix from the WWE side. This is nothing but an introduction and a short meeting to figure out if they want to get this off the ground and when they want to do it. It's a win-win, to be honest. And also, it can also revive some of the older Ultimate Fighters as well. And it's a vehicle that could go into other avenues if the partnership works well together. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I think this is a good conversation to have. And hopefully this gets to the right ears and they actually do it. That would be amazing. But until next time.